Senator Urquhart, are you?
I was having a little sleep there.
That's all right,
thinking about Senator Williams' comments, Deputy President. I rise to take note of the answer from Minister Wong on the Labor government's budget management record. And before Senator Williams leaves the chamber, can I remind him that before he starts talking about the Tasmanian government being in debt, he should get his facts correct, because in 1989-92 the Labor government was actually paying off the debt that was left by the Liberal government in Tasmania at that time. And economic management has been one of the highlights of this Labor government. This Labor government is getting on with the job of managing the Australian economy. Everyone in this place knows the tremendous job we've done throughout the global financial crisis, where Labor's fast, targeted action to stimulate the economy has seen our economy now 10% larger than before the GFC, while many advanced economies are still smaller than they were before the global crisis. Australia's come out of the worst financial hit since the Great Depression with an economy that is growing at a good level. And Senator Wong, as Minister Wong said during question time today, Labor is committed to doing what is required to grow our economy, and we have delivered a mid-year budget update that brings the budget back to a surplus. Australia has an unemployment rate that is low, it has an inflation rate that is low, and this responsible fiscal management gives the Reserve Bank room to lower interest rates if it so decides to. And let's not forget that we've continued to move Australia forward while ridding our workplaces of that torrid industrial relations relic work choices, that torrid system where more than 4 million workers lost basic protections. They were just gone.
Senator Urquhart, just to resume your seat. Point of order, Senator Brandis.
On relevance, Mr President, this is about Senator Wong's answer to my question, which was specifically about the budget surplus and more specifically about whether that statement is any longer a promise. That's the only thing the question was directed to. And I know there's a reasonable latitude given in these debates, but to talk about industrial relations policy of a previous government has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with the question.
Thank you, Senator Brandis. Senator Wong.
Thank you. On the point of order, I would remind the good senator of the content, for example, of Senator Williams' contribution, which did traverse in lengthy detail his memory of Labor government's past, of Jeff Kennett, former Premier Kennett. I know Senator Brandis has a bit of a knee-jerk reaction to points of order on relevance, but I'd humbly suggest that it's really not apposite on this occasion.
Thank you, Senator Wong. I was going to rule that Senator Urquhart is relevant in the context of the debate. Senator Urquhart, you have the call.
Thank you, Mr Deputy President. Now, I was talking, obviously it's a very sore point, work choices with the opposition. A generation of workers who entered that system were vulnerable, and those young workers who weren't aware of their rights. Australians who didn't have experience to fall back on were the worst affected. Labor has repealed work choices and brought Australia through the worst financial shock since the Great Depression with an economy that is growing. Labor is managing that economy in a much more responsible manner than which the opposite left it in. How do we know this? We know this because the Labor government has received a AAA credit rating from all three rating agencies, a rating that those opposite could not achieve while in government. Under Labor, Australia sits with just 6 other countries in the world with top credit ratings. And doesn't that touch a nerve with those opposite? Touch a nerve that the facts show that Labor is actually a more fiscally responsible party, the better managers of the economy, both insofar as job creation through the global financial crisis, the worst financial shock to the world economy since the Great Depression, and that we're actually a lower taxing government than those opposite were. A great fact that those opposite wish they could escape is that a tax as a proportion of GDP under Labor is lower than it was under the previous coalition government. Former Prime Minister Howard and his Treasurer Costello presided over what was in fact the highest taxing government in memory. We're doing more with what we've been given than those opposite could have dreamed to do. And we're doing it while keeping our focus on the changes needed to keep Australia competitive going forward. We've put that price on carbon, the price that those officers have almost forgotten about because it didn't come with the big shock that they were so hoping it would. We're building the NBN that those opposite have opposed all the way, a network that will connect all Australians with super-fast broadband, enabling more efficient provision of health and education services, as well as opening up endless opportunities for businesses. We're increasing retirement savings through superannuation reforms and boost to the pension.
Order. Senator Urquhart, whilst I ruled earlier that you were within the context of the debate, you are now straying a fair way off the mark, so I'll just bring you back to the subject of the debate.
I will bring it back, and I intended to do that. Thank you, Deputy President. And we haven't run out of steam yet. We have comprehensive policy agendas across whole of government, plans to make Australia a fairer, better place to grow up, work, raise a family and age well in. Just this week, this Labor government has released our comprehensive Asian Century White Paper, and that is a framework to Australia to emerge stronger over the decades ahead by taking advantage of the opportunities offered by the Asian century. Australians look at this government's forward agenda and see a group wanting to take on the tough challenges. They see a government that has repealed that industrial relations relic, work choices, a government that is committed to responsible budget management and has clear plans for Australia's future. They also see an opposition with no vision for our country's future, and that's evident today in this debate.